Today's episode with Jenée Dana will make you laugh out loud. In fact, maybe you shouldn't take too many sips while listening to Jenée share her journey of becoming an author, supporting other messengers, and living her message of have fun and get it done, despite all the unexpected twists and turns life has tossed her way. Instead, grab a journal and take some notes because this chick's wisdom will remind you not to sacrifice the joy of the journey for a destination that's probably going to change anyway. What if story is the answer to our crises of meaning and belonging, to our impulse to heal our lives and help others, to our desire and drive to leave this world better than we found it? Now, we love good stories. In fact, we're kind of obsessed, not just with the stories themselves, but with the stories behind the stories. Their oddly perfect timing, the healing process they provoke in their authors, and their capacity to catalyze individual and collective change. And we love exploring these with writers, thought leaders, entrepreneurs, healers, parents, and others. Tune in to hear these stories behind the stories and entertain with us the real possibility that whether you are a teller or a consumer, story is always offering or leading us to an answer. So our guest today is Jenée Dana, who graduated from UCLA in 3 years in spite of having ADHD, and she still had a blast. Her book, Have Fun and Get It Done, became a #1 bestseller back in 2012 and has won multiple national and international awards. Her first award was the Gold Medal in Education from the Reader's Favorite International Book Award. Since then, she became a web application developer, Salesforce consultant, and writer at havefungetitdone.com. She lives in San Diego, California with her husband and 2 cats, George and Jane. George thinks he's a dog, and Jane can often be caught saying, "You're doing that wrong," but they love her anyway. She loves weightlifting, hiking, Peloton riding. You're gonna have to tell us about that. I don't even know what it is. Netflix binging, fur babies, traveling, and snorkeling with sharks. Yes, snorkeling with sharks. Welcome, Jenée.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this because, what we're really trying to accomplish here is getting the stories behind the stories because, a lot of people see successful people who've written books, people who've done speaking, people who've built businesses, and they have this idea that it just happens.
Yeah.
And, I get the opportunity to kind of be behind the scenes with messengers and authors and speakers and business owners. And I get to see how not true that actually is.
Right.
And so I would love for us to just have a conversation today about the story behind your stories. I mean, a lot of people might be thinking, hey, she wrote a book and have this idea about where that was going to take you, and then read the rest of your bio and think,
That's also random.
And I love that. Yeah. I absolutely love it. So
awesome.
So let's start out with the book.
Right.
What was your inspiration for the book? What was that first thought that made you think I need to write a book?
First thought. Well, I'm gonna be honest. First thought, actually, I think came from a bit of selfishness and frustration. I had just self-published a paper planner that I had made, and it had done really well in beta testing. The people who were using it got amazing results, and I was really happy and really excited to share it with the world. But back then, I was really young, and I looked even younger than what I was. I had graduated college, but I looked like I was still in middle school, and it showed. And if I wore a suit, it then looked like I was a frumpy kid in high school, apparently. And so no one was taking me seriously. I found it very frustrating for people that I didn't know. It was hard for them to take me seriously. I remember being in this networking meeting, and this woman completely brushed me off and legit asked me if I was ditching high school to be there. And I had some choice words for her in my head, but I don't want to get kicked out of there, so I didn't say them. But I just thought it was so frustrating to be dismissed like that. And then the speaker at that meeting, actually, when he was introduced as an author, everybody oohed and awed. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what I need to get taken seriously. Great. Awesome. I need to write a book. I don't know how to do that. And then I met you like 2 days later, which I thought was hilarious and amazing. And it's just funny how the universe winks at you sometimes. So, but that's kind of what spawned from it. And then after I thought about it, I was like, well, if I am going to do this for selfish reasons, I want it to at least benefit people. So, and I still at that point wasn't sure what I was going to write about. And that's where you came in and you helped with that. But I did know that whatever I did, I wanted it to help at least one person. And if I did that, then it would be worth it. And so, yeah, that was my goal. That's kind of how it started. Did I answer your question? My ADD took over. I don't know.
You
okay.
did. No, and I love it because I remember the conversations about you being frustrated, and I often use those first headshots that you gave me in my presentations when I'm talking about like why people don't get taken seriously and what it really takes. And
that's with me with makeup, okay? Like I look older in those shots than I did in the meetings.
Yeah, I know, I could just imagine. And I remember meeting you at one of those meetings and thinking, wow, she wants to write a book and she's got a business. How old is she? So I was one of them too.
But you were nice.
It's true. It's true. Yeah. And we have two youngins here who kind of understand that, right?
Yes, I'm still a baby. For the past, 8+ years, when I got involved in projects, people are like, "You're what age?" Yeah.
You can relate. Yeah. And you're doing big things. And so I think that's awesome. But yeah, it's so annoying when people ask you that question.
Well, my big question is, have you ever talked to that? I believe you called her a Karen in the chapter, right?
Yes.
Have you talked to her since? Did you know her, or no, just some random?
She's just some rando Karen that like
so sorry.
Thought I was too young to be there and was like the age police at the meeting or something. No, I probably, if I met her again at another meeting, I wouldn't even recognize her. But I just remember how she like made me feel and how annoyed I was with her. Yeah, she was a jerk, but it's okay.
You showed her.
I did. she'll never know, but that's okay, because I don't know, I think she might have not even meant it that way, although I doubt it. She kind of seemed a little like uppity. But yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to spot her in a crowd like this day. She just irritated me.
Sometimes those people are like those last people you don't really remember because they're like the compilation character of all the people who've given you that look or said that thing. And it's like, you can't really identify that one person because it was just all those people who did that.
Exactly. Like, yeah, I don't even know her name, but I definitely avoided her the rest of the meeting. So.
And it was perfect because it was the perfect setup to make you listening for that author thing.
I'm so glad you brought that up. I totally agree. I think that sometimes when people piss us off, even if they may or may not have had ill intentions, I always think that it always, maybe not always, but most of the time it works to your benefit. And so even though like that woman was extremely irritating, like you said, like it got me thinking, and it really pushed me to maybe that thought wouldn't have crossed my mind, or I wouldn't have noticed how that author was introduced, and I would have went down another path had that random lady not been so rude. So I'm actually really grateful for her, even like other interactions, because I'm definitely a person who's motivated by spite. I hate to admit it, but it's so true.
Karen, if you're listening to this, give us a call. Do some next level story work.
Get your side of the story.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, I mean, use what you got to your advantage, right?
Yeah, for sure.
That's
Which
so
is
funny.
the-
No, I was gonna say I had just experienced that the other night because I had the same exact issue. And for the first time in forever, I had someone guess 28, which for the first time forever was something over 20. And I was like taking in the moment, breathing it in. And she's like, oh, it was just because we had already talked about your work experience and your book publications. And I was like, oh, okay. So at least that scored me a solid 28.
Nice.
it's funny though, right? Because this is such a huge conversation around like what do you actually have to do for credibility
Mhm.
to get a message out or to launch a business or, here, like I used that focus book planner forever and it was brilliant. Like, how could these people who we're your target market, like they needed your help to manage their lives, but they missed it because you couldn't connect with them because you couldn't anchor into that, like what's going to make you credible in front of them. So
Yeah. They were like, what's this young'un gonna teach me that I don't already know?
it's true.
I was over 50 when you came into my life. And you got up and you spoke. And I sat there like, I think I had to put my jaw up so many times because of the ahas I was getting. And it like rewired my brain. I'm telling you, it did. And I'm looking at this little girl going, I want to grow up to be like her. But I mean, that the principle of that book, I had it again, like Amanda, I used it for a long time. It was amazing, brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you. You're gonna make me cry. That's like the sweetest thing I've ever
Oh my
heard.
God, you
Also-
guys were like 10 minutes in. Come on.
I know. This is
Oh my
gonna be a lot of that, I guess. But no, thank you for saying that. I remember that retreat. I loved that retreat. That was a good one.
That was so fun.
It was
That
fun.
was so fun. Yeah.
It seriously changed because I'm a note person, a list person, and a calendar person, and it changed the way to this day the way that I view calendars.
Oh,
So.
I love that. Yay.
Yeah.
See, I'm
Thank
the
you.
one person.
Yeah, I'm just, no, it's
You said
are.
if it was one
just
person.
clicked for me. My brain needs to turn on, but oh my gosh,
Yes,
yay,
it
thank
just-
you.
Wait,
I love that. So see, it was
More
well worth
sips.
it.
More sips.
Worth it. I love it. Aw.
Oh, yeah. It's and what was amazing about your journey was like all of these little moments that we had, we're calling them you can't make this story up moments now because you really can't, right? Like remember that first, where were we working? It was my first mastermind that you were in. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. All I knew was that I needed to have people in a room to help them because they weren't getting anything done in between all of the big meetings that we were having. And so, was that like an assisted living? Is that where it was? It was like this, I think I rented a room, like a conference room at an assisted living. I think that's where I did my
Yeah,
first.
it was like a really fancy old folks home. It was really nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. And of course I was there because Ursula had been renting that room for her sessions. And so I was like, well, I'll just see if I could do it. Anyway, I remember you being so frustrated about this conversation of just like, how am I going to build this type of credibility? And I remember asking you, well, where did you get all of this expertise? And your answer was, oh, I graduated UCLA in 3 years.
Because, I don't know.
ADHD and, probably some undiagnosed dyslexia. And I just remember like everyone in the room, all of these older, much older people were like, I'm sorry, what? And then we had this, you can't make this story up moment of the brand coming forward, like this have fun and get it done. Like you actually said those words, like I figured out how to do this. And then it was just like, it was like from there on out, we couldn't stop the speed that you were moving at. So what was that whole experience like for you of like being in the creative process and, you know, in those sessions? Because I know everyone comes to these experiences feeling different levels of ready, different levels of clear or unclear.
Exactly. Yeah, that was a great experience for me. At first, I was super unclear. And actually, first, I have to call out because it's going to be like extremely noticeable. I have like, you think I should have a ring light by now. I do not. And I have like the worst lighting situation in this room. And as like the minute goes on, even with the light on, I look like I'm in witness protection. Like the shadow is just starting to come over my face. So we're just going to go with it. And it had to call that elephant out of the video. And yeah, sorry about that. My ring light should be here like tomorrow, which is like, of course.
Perfect timing. Perfect timing.
Perfect timing. But it's okay. But yeah, so one thing I love about those sessions for me was I came in extremely unclear about what I even wanted to write about. And just, I think this is going to sound like buzzword bingo, but the synergy that came from like having everybody in the room and having you and being able to bounce off ideas. And I mean, you guys came up with that idea so quick, and it gave everybody, including myself, goosebumps. And so I just think that the energy that you get off of meetings like that, you can come up with some really cool stuff really quick. And it's very motivating, and it kind of gets you in that, well, whatever zone you're in, like, you know, whether it's a mastermind for business or a mastermind for writing, it really like puts you in the zone to get stuff done. So I personally found it extremely beneficial.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, we figured out how to have even more fun with retreats and such eventually. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know, you might have written your book in a weekend if we'd had you at a retreat. That might have just happened because, you know, what were some of your sticking points around actually moving through the project? Because you got clear, you knew exactly what you wanted to tell people because you'd put it in a planner. And so it was just a matter of kind of formatting it properly and expanding on certain concepts. So what was your sticking point?
Like sticking point for
what made it hard
for
the creative process?
Yeah, I would say, like, so for me in the beginning, it was I had writer's block. And for me, like, everyone's writer's block occurs because of something that's personal to them, right? It's never the same thing that's causing that block. But for me, I was trying to, I don't know, maybe like, let's just say like fit somebody else's mold. So like I was trying to write from 9 to 5 because I don't know, I read it on some blog somewhere or something that's what you're supposed to do. And I kept writing that first chapter over and over again for like 7 months, and it was just crap. Like this is really bad. And I couldn't move forward or past from that. And it was driving me crazy. And then finally I figured out a couple of things. I think we had one conversation where I was just like, I can't, I was so used to writing academic papers that when I sat down to write, it was coming out like academic-y and gross. And I didn't want that. I wanted it to be a conversation. And I didn't know how to do that yet, like writing, because I was so used to writing another way. And so Amanda gave the suggestion to, well, why don't you speak your book? Like, just like talk into software and have it type it out for you. And I was like, genius. So why don't I do that? So, because that fits for me. It's not like, this is what's going to work. Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I remember where I was when I suggested that. And as a coach, I said it. Yeah, I was sitting outside a coffee shop in Corona.
Yeah.
And I was on the phone in the car with you. And I remember saying it and then having this voice go, oh my God, she has ADHD.
And it just like clicked.
And I just told her to talk her book, right? So like the organized person in my brain who's like trying to create organization for people so it doesn't go off the rails anyways. And then
Also the person that has to edit the book.
Right. You're like, oh, this is gonna be a giant mess.
And so we hung up, and then I remember like racing into the coffee shop and being like, Jenée, here are the questions. Time yourself.
Yes, and that was genius too, because so what we did was like, we took the bullet points and turned them into questions, and then you told me to time myself while doing it. And then the second thing I did was I was like, okay, this 9 to 5 thing isn't working for me. Like I can't, for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, but I realized something too. Like I thought about it, and I was like, whenever I lie down to sleep, that's when my brain wants to play. Like, it's like, oh no, you want to go to sleep? We're going to think about that time. You know, you farted in class in 6th grade. Remember that? So that's just what my brain wants to do. So I thought, well, that's when it's either that in the shower, and I cannot write in the shower. I didn't figure that one out yet. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try writing at night. And that's what I did. So
Wait, yet? Have you figured that out since?
Well, yeah, I mean, you just take your phone and
okay.
dictate into your phone or like talk to Alexa or something. But like, so technically you could, but back then, like I had to buy the CD and install it on my computer. Like that's how long ago I bought that dictation software. Well, now you get it for free, like everywhere, like on your Mac or your phone. But yeah, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna write at 10:30. And until I can't write anymore. And that turns out my mind turns, I mean, I'm already a little loopy, but normally my mind turns to complete mush at like 1:30 in the morning. I'm done. Like there's nothing else to do. So I wrote my book spoke my book from 10:30 to 1:30 in the morning for 2 nights in a row. And it was done. And I just had to like clean it up like for like a couple hours the next day. That was it. And sent it off. And yeah, so it wasn't a garbled jungle mess for you to like sort apart and edit. So yeah, I cleaned it up myself after and then sent it over.
Yeah. And it was cool because like you said, it kind of helped you to step out of that academic, organized, voice into your, like you wrote the book for high school and college students. So that approach wouldn't have worked, right? It had to be fun. It had to be all those random things that enter your mind between 10:30 and 1:30 in the morning, right?
Exactly. It's like I had read enough textbooks by the time I graduated. I was like, no kid wants to read another textbook. And I wanted it, if it was going to be like advice, like the way it was, like I wanted it to be, or just from my experience, right? I wanted it to be very conversational, like just, and the whole point was to make it an easy read. Was why one of my professors thought I had dyslexia because he had dyslexia too. And he was like, I have a very hard time reading. Like I read very slow. And so I mean, like when I was 6, was I 6? Yeah. I even struggled to learn to read, and like I had extra help at home and hooked on phonics, all the things. So, since it takes me a longer time to read, I didn't want my book to be hard to read. I wanted it to just be an easy read, nothing to struggle about, get the information you need and get out type of deal. So yeah, that was my goal anyways.
Yeah, I think you did it, and you did it really fast. I mean, you spoke the book really quickly. We edited it really quickly. And then I remember the terrifying email of like, okay, Amanda, what do I do with this? And me being like, oh shoot. I haven't had any clients finish their books yet.
I think we do the best work when we're on the fly and figuring stuff out. Like, I think like this just, I don't know. I think that's the funnest part too, when you're like learning as you go.
Yeah.
For me anyways, keeps it interesting.
Yeah. Well, and about that time we were both hanging out with Ursula. She was our sales coach, right? Mm-hmm. And so we were kind of tagging along a little bit into these conferences and these different places where she was speaking, and we were meeting people who knew how to do this stuff. And so I just remember it like kind of all falling together. You connected with Dawn, right, from an event, who's still our interior designer. She's awesome. And so you started working on that. And then I had met Dan randomly.
I remember Dan. Yeah.
And so he was doing the cover. It just kind of all like we figured it out and it seemed to happen really quickly. And then you were like, hey, Ursula became a bestseller. I can do it too.
Follow the map. Just
Yeah.
yeah, I watched her do that and I thought, why not? Let's try it. I was a wreck before that was coming out. Like I get anxiety and like I just remember being an emotional basket case for the 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks before we did that bestseller. Like yeah. I was a maniac. Like I was
what was coming up for you? Because I mean, I always have clients in different phases, and like just this week we had a retreat and I have these clients who are like, they're starting to slow down the completion of the book. Like we're getting really close and they're not finishing. They're getting distracted with editing and researching all of these things. And I'm like, I know this phase. You don't know what's coming next. I've learned this. And so, but it's so important for people to hear the stories of like, what is the chatter that goes on when you have that final manuscript, you're pitching it to readers, you're getting feedback, and then you decide to do, like, you have this crazy idea to make it a bestseller, which requires all this work. Like, tell us a little bit about what that process was like for you.
Yeah, so it was a little crazy because like you said, like we didn't know, like we'd never done this before. So we didn't quite know what we were doing. We're like, okay, well, let's just figure it out. So like stumbling through, like figuring stuff out. Okay, figured this out. What's the next step? What's a barcode? How do I get one? All those things.
A barcode.
Yeah, right. Moving through that process of all the little things you wouldn't even think about that you need. Well, now you don't really need it, but that was way back when. Go through Amazon, they take care of that for you now. But yeah, so doing that then while being like, oh, I think I'm just gonna be a bestseller. Why not? I don't know. And then letting the reality of that sink in once you've committed to it and told people that's what you're doing, the pressure for me at least, especially with anxiety that brings on is just the hell. And then from writing a book, and then when you're actually having to tell people that you did it or show people that you did it, it's like, I don't know. I think this is a really bad analogy, but it's like your baby, right? So, and people are going to judge your baby. And so you feel like the anxiety that comes from that is a lot. And so I was just freaking out left and right. Like people are going to like, and it's like a vulnerable thing. It's like, you're going to see me and you're not going to like me, is I think was like the core fear of that. On top of, I told people I was going to do this and I'm going to fail very publicly if this doesn't work. Huge anxiety for me because I don't like to fail. Although I've done it plenty of times and also publicly, but like it's not fun, and especially in the moment. And so I try and avoid those painful feelings at all costs. But yeah, so that's what made me just this stress ball for a while.
Yeah.
That was my experience.
It's terrifying. We have, I mean, Aaron hasn't really been through it before. He's watched me go through it. He's held my hand through it a few times. But we're going to be launching our book next year. So listen carefully, Aaron. So that
I don't mean to scare you. We've gone through this quite a few times after this happened.
As if I didn't know any of this was
Right.
a thing like before it, even though I haven't. Yeah, I know exactly what's going on.
You're going to have Jenée on speed dial.
Yes.
Yes.
We did have Jenée on speed dial during my my launch, and what a chaotic day that was, doing all that juggling last minute.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I remember in the midst of it all, when I was sitting there, that total anxious mess that you just described, and I hear like the camera sound on the iPhone, and I look over and Amanda's taking a picture of me. And I just looked at her like about to explode, like this giant volcanic
I got a picture of that
explosion, because I'm a mess. Everything is crumbling. We're having all these issues with our Amazon categories on the day of, and we're trying to call people to place the orders. And why would you think that this is an appropriate time to take a picture of me? And she was like, yeah, no, this is actually what it means and what it looks like to be an author. This is it right here. It's not the like cheering once you hit bestseller and everything.
You
Like,
do
oh,
cheer, but the journey to getting there isn't as glamorous.
through the tears at the end of the day.
Well, I mean, let's be honest,
Yes.
Alyssa, with yours, we really figured out that we should not do a bestseller campaign the day after a very polarizing political presidential election.
Yeah, that's heavy.
We learned that this
People were
time.
just a little preoccupied.
That too. So all the emotions, all the things. Oh man.
Yeah, no, but that pressure, Jenée, specifically the first one that you mentioned about telling people, the accountability factor. Oh man, that's enough pressure for me to make me not want to tell anyone ever that I'm doing anything, because I'll just let it be a big surprise someday. If we didn't need people's support to get to where we need to be someday, I wouldn't tell anyone anything, because it has a whole new meaning to it once you put words to it, to someone else.
Oh, I know what you mean. And I'm the type of person who prefers to work in that, like in the background, and then just surprise people like, hey, this is why I've been in a hole for a month. Hello. And so I prefer that mode rather than having to tell people ahead of time, because yeah, it adds on the anxiety. Not to say that it's not useful, and yeah, you can get a lot done by doing that, but do I want to do that every project? No, I don't.
Yeah. But then you signed up for it, because then you started helping our clients, because you figured out how to do it quickly and easily, and I didn't know how to do it. So I was like, hey, we need help, because other people are finishing their book. And I think Teddy, you were one of those first people to experience getting that support, right?
Yes.
You had fun during that process, didn't you? Like a big F word bit of fun, like Jenée likes to say.
Freaking fun. It was fun. And there was always Jenée doing her accountability calls. How are you doing?
While you're having a meltdown in the background.
No, but thank God that she did it, because by the time, I mean, it was just a little bit ahead of me, but it was like paving the way. So when I got there, there was a list: do this, 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 and this. And then when I got to, do this, this, and this, and this, and it made it easy.
Yeah.
The steps easy. Now, my process was a different story, but the steps, like what I needed to do, make this call, send this off, pay this amount, it was real easy.
It wasn't fun, but she got it done.
Exactly.
Right. And that part of it was so easy, that part, because you had done the work, and yeah, it didn't help my attitude, but it was easy.
Well, you know what? I think all authors, I don't know. I say it's very rare probably for an author to not write a book and not have some sort of attitude. For me personally, like, I know I always was not myself when going through that process, and I wasn't even writing about anything emotional. It was a how-to book, but for some reason it brought up a lot of emotional junk for me. And so I think I would be surprised if there are any authors that don't like have that experience, even if they aren't writing about something that's personal or more emotional. Yeah, because I had my moments for sure. I know I did.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I think that's why people want to do, like, I mean, how many phone calls have I gotten over the years? Amanda, could you just ghostwrite my book? And it's like, nope.
No. No, thank you.
I did that. I actually did ghostwrite a few books. And then I realized that's when I realized that people needed the process of wrestling with the ideas and wrestling with the who am I to put this out there, and like wrestling with all that, like that's what develops the internal structure that we need in order to be the messenger that we want to be. So I felt like I was setting people up for failure because I was doing all of the work, keeping them from doing all of that internal work, and then setting them out to collapse in front of audiences because they hadn't really owned it through the process of writing it. So yeah, I agree. Even if it's not emotional, like that's, you know, even if it's your credibility, right? You're getting ready to put like your best work out in the world and you're scared that someone's going to tell you your baby's ugly. Like all the time that you put into it, all the years you've spent, you know, honing your craft and figuring out these things. And all you need is that one, what do you call them? Karens?
Yeah. Or Ken or Kevin. I don't know what the guy, Chad. I don't know. There's a few names for dudes. I don't know which one is the right one.
Like all you need is that one person and it just like spins you out. It validates that little voice in your head that's like, yeah, I knew I couldn't do that. Yeah, I knew I was full of crap. You know, it's like,
Well, yeah, and I'm really curious, Jenée, about, because you mentioned a couple sticky parts in your process that you went through, but you also mentioned the conversation around age and being taken seriously. And so when you're writing a how-to book like you did, I'm really curious what type of obstacles you ran into while getting that content out, because that's like a huge wrestle with your self-image as you're about to, you know, take all these big steps to put the how-to message out into the world, you know?
Yeah. Do you mean like, do you mean like the part like writing it? Like,
Yeah,
or,
like
or the
anywhere,
after part?
any of it.
Okay.
Like in that whole process, because obviously the credibility conversation is a big one for me too. Who am I to do this or that? And I'm really curious because you always got all of that feedback on your age and you had that issue in your head about being taken seriously. So did you find it was an obstacle at all during your writing process or getting the content out, or
It was a bit
did you
of an
ever hit that?
obstacle. Yeah, definitely. You'd have it in, oh, you always have that in the back of your mind, like who the hell am I to do this? Like, like why? And it would definitely creep up, probably like more often than I'd like to admit. One things that kind of, and actually I wasn't the only one. Like I even had someone legit tell me in a meeting, this was someone I knew that I had seen like on a few occasions, let's just say, and during that process of seeing them at the end, like everybody was supposed to tell each other something nice, which is really funny. And her comment to me was, I'm glad that you got a reality check, because I hadn't done the bestseller thing yet, but I had announced that that's something that I was thinking of doing or wanting to do. And she was like, she said something about like being glad I got a reality check, and I saw someone else who was there, we became friends, like her eyebrow like it was great. Like I was like, okay, you caught that too. Okay, girlfriend. So like sometimes like people would also like confirm that thought that I have, like, well, who am I to think that I can do something like this? But you know, like my focus just became on, after I got over the selfish hump of I want to be taken seriously. I turned it more into a focus on who this is going to help. So I really just kept the thing that helped me kind of get over that is, this isn't for me. This isn't about me, even though initially it was. It's about the person that I'm going to help. And that's even like when I was writing my book or speaking my book, it's whatever. I was picturing that one person just sitting across from me, like us, like having coffee together and just chatting. And like, that's how I got through it, was just thinking of them. And that's what kept pushing me forward, and F everybody else. Like if they don't get
Wow.
it, or you know what I mean? Like, oh, well, it's too bad for you.
No,
So,
that's an awesome visualization. I had a similar experience when we launched my book, and I did a slam poetry performance. And I've always had a really big issue being on stage and speaking, and I've just been nerves, and so what I would tell myself going on is just like, get them out of the way. Like, this isn't about you. This isn't about what anyone's going to think about you when you get up there. Just think about this message and think about the people that are waiting to hear it. And it really helped too.
I love that. I love that too. Yeah, that helps my nerves as well. I also use something similar, like when speaking, like, because yeah, I get super nervous. Like one time I was so nervous that I was holding on to the podium. My knees were knocking so hard to get, like, I was shaking so hard, my knees were knocking together, and I had to hold on to the podium so I wouldn't fall over. And so I am not, I mean, I've seen me, I've spoken in public, but I'm not naturally a public speaker. So yeah, focusing on the other people and just hoping that it's just going to help that one person is what gets me through stuff when I want to vomit. So I love that you do that too. I feel not alone. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's really fun to hear what goes on inside, because I'm telling you, like, it doesn't even matter that some people have been around this space for ages and heard these things over and over. When they get to the point where it's, trying to get through it themselves, it's like they forget all of it. They forget. It's just important for people to be able to have these conversations and be like, okay, I'm not alone. The voice that tells me that my manuscript is a piece of shit and I should have never started it, like, everyone has that voice at this phase in the process. It's like everyone. So yeah. So what do you do when that voice comes up? I hear you saying that, like, you really try to center the person that you're helping, but I mean, you've gone on to do a lot of other things besides being a messenger. I think you're a messenger for your message, but not in the way that most people would expect. Like, you're out there kind of living it, rather than preaching it. So tell us about that process of, like, because, it's, there were expectations, right? That you had expectations about where the book was going to take you, and what was that initial vision, and what was the process of letting go of it?
Oh, that process was hard. So initially, I had these like grandiose visions because, why not? We did the bestseller. And then I had launched this paper planner and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So why not take the paper? I had this huge vision of taking the paper planner and putting it into a web application. And running a tech company, because why the hell not? And so that's what I did initially. I mean, I actually ended up getting funding after somehow bombing on stage, but that was a whole other thing. But we got funding for it. That ended in a fiery train crash. That was bad, but I learned a lot from it. But what I discovered was I am really horrible at managing developers. Like, I can manage designers and I'm really good at that. I can come up with really good branding. I know because I won an award for it, but can I manage developers? No. And they were great. It wasn't them, it was me, like, because we were definitely speaking different languages. So I learned how to code after that in order to communicate better with them. But in the meantime, ran out of funding. So that's why that ended. And that was really hard to initially let go when I was like, okay, well, we're out of funding. I need to eat. So where we were living in Hawaii at the time. It's expensive. I mean, Adam was working, but just to give you an idea, I think like a couple years ago, $90,000 a year in Hawaii is poverty level. Oof. Yeah. So I was like, all right, well, I need to get a job now. And that was painful for me because I felt like if I got a job, I was I had this, what's the word? It was like this, like a false story that if I got a job that I was like a failure and saying goodbye to all of my dreams, and that just the fact that I had to get a job was a failure. And that was so wrong. Like it wasn't, but that's how I felt at the time. And that's what I think made it extra painful for me. But that wasn't the case. And so what ended up happening is, yeah, I got a job and that alleviated a lot of stress because it's expensive in Hawaii. And while I was doing that job, I was continuing to learn how to code at night. And because of doing that, I ended up landing a really, okay, again, because we're talking about, I remember you mentioned in the beginning, my resume is super random. So like, what I'm doing now is super random. So because of doing that, I ended up getting like pretty much like this dream job working with NOAA as a contractor in Hawaii and as a web developer. Could barely turn on my TV like a year prior to that, but okay, I'm a web developer now. But no, I mean, I learned how to do it. I was effective at my job. But and then because of that, I got to go on this research expedition for like a month and be their database administrator for the scientists. I got 2 days of training on this because I didn't normally manage the databases. I was normally the front end person. So that was also interesting and a lot of pressure because if the scientists can't enter their data, they get very angry. So that was, but they were all cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Actually, they were all very nice, but it's important. So I was, but I was well supported on that cruise and I got to, well, they call it a cruise, but it's not, it's like camp on a boat or ship and you're out in the middle of nowhere. But I got to see so many cool things because of it. And I got to snorkel with sharks. And like, that's why I say snorkel sharks, because like, that's where I got to do it. Also thinking back, I don't know how I did that because there was no cage. Although I have gone cage diving with sharks before, but there was no cage. I was just snorkeling like an insane person, but it was really cool. So stuff like that. I'm rambling now. I don't know. I forgot the original question. I'm going to stop talking and let you herd the cat that is me. I don't know where we're supposed to go.
No, I think that's very representative of how the journey went for you.
Yeah,
You're like,
why not do this?
You're like, I'll be a web developer. And it's funny because they're right about that time that you got married, moved to Hawaii, or kind of letting go of the messenger thing. It was the time where I was kind of closing the business for a minute to try to figure my stuff out. Mm-hmm. And so I just remember like, hey, Jenée, how are you? You know, messenger checking on you. And you being like, I'm out in the middle of a ship. In the ocean on a ship. And I'm like, what? You know, like, and every time I checked in on you just to see how you were doing, you were like on this other adventure.
Random. Yeah. Yeah. That was a cool adventure. I had some crazy dreams on that. It was a very spiritual place. Like that was a cool adventure. I totally forgot about that. But yeah, I remember messaging me and I was like, oh hey, yeah, random.
Yeah.
Randomness. I'm out here now.
How would you say that the have fun and get it done? Has that thread like stayed with you? Played through all of this?
I mean, yes and no. I would say that that's my goal in life, right? Have fun and get it done. Does it always end up that way? Like, no. Like, I mean, I strive for that and I always try and spin it that way, right? But there are days where I'm not having fun. Like, you know, like right now, especially going through IVF, like this is one of the hardest. I know that there are harder things to go through for sure, but but I've talked with other people who've gone through IVF and the consensus is it's for us anyways, it's the hardest thing we've ever had to go through. And so there are days where I'm good and I am enjoying myself. In fact, this month has been actually very good. Like it's been a great month, but there are other months during this process because I've been going through it all year. I had four rounds of egg retrieval surgeries and before now, like doing the embryo transfer prep part. And it's been an emotional roller coaster. And so with that emotional roller coaster, it's like some days, like all I can do is just be grateful that I was able to get up out of bed and show up to work and be semi-functional. And that's all I can ask at the moment. And then there are other days that, you know, where the roller coaster lets me have a little bit of fun. So so yeah, like it's been a weird journey. And I would say like, I don't ever want like the have fun and get it done concept or message to feel, what's the word? Not realistic or not genuine. Like it's okay if you have a bad day, like it happens, shit happens, you're gonna have bad days. But I guess the goal is to just not get stuck in it. And anything that you're gonna try and do, like try and do it the best way that you can. And if that day happens to be, you know, you just be grateful for getting out of bed, well, hey, there you go. Like, and that is maybe the have fun and get it done part, the gratefulness for, you know what, I did this, and I'm gonna recognize that and celebrate that I did that. And that's all I can do today. So
Yeah,
you know,
I was just kind of wondering if it came out as, and that's the book and the message you wanted to get. And I was just wondering if it solidified who you are, or you said that's always your goal. And
yeah.
so you might have gone and done a lot of different things, but that never, like, you were just integrating that in throughout your life,
I see what you
is
mean.
what, like, that's never going to go away from you, because it
Yeah.
is who you are.
It's who I strive. It's who I strive to be. So maybe in a sense, yeah, it is who I am. Sorry, I took that on a whole other tangent, but I get what you're saying now. Thanks for
Yeah.
clarifying. But yeah, I
No,
would say, yeah, that is a part of me. I want it to be a part of me. It's not, you know what I mean?
oh, it is. You can't
Yeah.
get away from it. We all have bad days.
Exactly.
We all have bad months, but I think that your message, just even in the chapter that you wrote, you can see that it comes through, that you're a kick, and you find a funny way to share even the bad things that are happening. And with this new your current adventure, I
Yeah.
can see it being you sharing it after it's all over,
Mhm.
because you're focused, your focus book, you have this focus, is what I'm trying to say. That and there's fun, you weave fun, like it's a priority, it's a value,
Mhm.
and you weave it in there, and you make sure that fun is somewhere.
Yeah, I like that. And that's definitely what I try to do. Otherwise, it's kind of like, what's the point? You know what I mean? I
Right.
can't. And I think for me too, like, with like depression and anxiety, it's important for me to focus on the fun. Like it's something that I like have to do. It's almost maybe a survival mechanism, probably, that and humor to deflect. Like that is what I need in order to get through it all. And that's what I use.
Right.
And for me, and it works for me. And I think too, it's like we get one shot at this life. We might get a few more. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but we get one shot at this one, and might as well enjoy the ride as best we can. Because like, everybody, like you said, everybody's got their moments, their days or months, but being able to find that fun or find that joy, I think is important. I think for anybody, but it definitely is something that I've kind of like held on to.
Do you know that is not everybody?
It's not.
No.
No. Well, I guess we do have some grumpicuses in the world.
Well, it's not
Karen.
that value system. What you
Mm,
talked about. Some people value peace over fun.
that's
Some
true.
people, so it's not everybody.
I
But
guess that's true.
that's what your message was, is find what is of value to you, where you place your value, and put that on the calendar.
Exactly. And whatever anybody values, I just want to stress, like if fun isn't at the top of your priority list, it doesn't mean you're a grumpicus, and it doesn't mean that that your values are wrong. But yeah, it's like whatever your values are, there's no right or wrong answer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just want to make that clear, because I called some somebody a girl because I didn't want anyone to feel like my values
No.
suck, because they don't. They're awesome. They're yours.
That's kind of what we discover on this journey, right? Is like all the little things that kind of push at us and trigger us. And it's like, why is that? There was this person who was facilitating transformation a few years back, and I was watching her, and I was like coming out of these super heavy retreats, and I've got like stories about abuse and neglect and like all this heavy stuff and tears, and I remember watching her facilitate games and thinking, all right, we're bringing more of that in. It's like because it is an essential part. It has not been a high value for me because it wasn't something that was cultivated in me as a little one. Like my name was Miss Mature. That was my nickname as a little kid. Miss Mature, as in you might as well have called me Miss Doesn't Know How to Have Fun. Wouldn't know fun if it slapped her in the face, right? So, but I was jealous of all the social butterflies who were out there and having fun and playing, and it was so funny because a few years back when I was looking at that chick, I was just thinking, that is so not fair. What can I do to add some? So you do have to come to the next retreat, because we do crazy games now, like scavenger hunts and improv. We had someone laugh their way into nosebleed during an improv session. And it's all story healing. It all accomplishes it. And it's actually kind of funny how much more quickly people move when there's laughter and levity. So
I totally agree. I feel like laughter even helps. I feel like there was a study on this too, but like it helps improve retention too. Like if you remember things more when something's funny or when you're laughing, which is another reason I try and make. I don't know if I'm that funny, but I try and make things funny.
You are.
I try.
I'm gonna second, third, and fourth that on that.
So Amanda and I, fun was not at the top of our list. No. And we began to try to work at it. We'd put it on our vision board. It was something that, I even did one year. I said, this is going to be my year of all new things. I am going to do things I said I would never do. I'm just going to do new things. But you sowed that seed because it wasn't on my radar. If I was planning my values, fun wasn't on my radar at all. And it's been really something that I've had to consciously think about.
Yeah. Well, you're not alone in that, because even though it's something that I kind of put in the forefront, I think, sometimes it's like, something, and even when it has worked for you before, you forget because you get caught up in the drama or the chaos or whatever's going on. And like, I know I've forgotten. And then, and sometimes like, we don't like, there are seasons where we don't necessarily like live by our priorities because something else has taken over. Right. And we feel like, and then we're like, oh, it's going to be temporary. But then that lasts a little bit longer than we thought it was. And then that just kind of becomes the norm. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what just happened? And I've had that happen to me kind of recently. And then I had to take a step back and I went, okay, no, I need to reprioritize this because this is not working for me. And it was amazing, the shift that I had, because I was like, how did I forget this? And why did this take me so long to get back to this? And I'm actually more productive now than I was when I thought I was being like, forced into forced productivity or whatever you want to call it. And it's like, duh, I wrote a book about it, but I like fall off the wagon. Like everybody falls off the wagon. You just got to get back on. Or it's falling off the wagon. That's the right term, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm injecting so many hormones into me lately. I feel like I already have Prego brain, and I don't know. Like words are hard. So we're just gonna get through this.
I'm excited to see how you put fun into your next. What you have to do next.
Sure.
What what are you going to do next? So you're like, you're working on the ultimate creative process, making a baby,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like you don't get more creative
Yeah.
than that. But
Yeah.
like, because of all these situations, I know from the other conversations we've had, you have to like, you basically have to do bed rest the entire time, right? Like,
It's not bed rest, and I'll probably get some new information because I swear, like I sometimes like I think I was don't never assume when they give you instructions. That's how I ended up delaying something for 3 weeks because I like my procedure got delayed because I thought they gave me something and I thought it meant something else, and I didn't know that there was another medication, like a refill that I needed. And anyways, it was a thing. So why did I go off on that? Oh, so wait, you had asked about ADD, like, oh, what's next, right? Like in terms of the process.
yeah, like how
just
do
what's
you, how what's your plan? Because you do have to take it easy, right? Like this is
Oh,
part of
it's the
the,
bed rest. That's what I was
yeah,
addressing. Yeah, I don't, probably not bed rest, but I can't elevate my heart rate. And so like, even, so I can't do anything stressful, but I can't even do the fun, stressful stuff. So like public speaking, stuff like this elevates my heart rate, which is why we're doing this early versus after the transfer. I can't get on the Peloton, which is something we like, you're like, what's that? And it's a stationary bike that we have that actually has like really good instructors. I did not like it at first. I don't want this to be a commercial for Peloton, but like just FYI, I did not order this thing. My husband did. It was his, and then I ended up liking it. So, but yeah, I'm sad. I can't use that for a bit. Maybe I'll be able to get on it after the 10-week period, like after, or 10 or 12-week period after the high risk zone, maybe. But still, everything's kind of up in the air, and they kind of spoon feed me information. So at this point, all I know is no, don't elevate your heart rate. So I'm like, okay, noted. So yeah, so in terms of what's next, while factoring that in, I have to be really careful. And it's hard, it's kind of frustrating for me because it's hard to plan because everything's kind of up in the air. I have ideas about things that I want to create. So, well, like first is like keep my job, there's that. I'm a Salesforce administrator for a company that I like, and I like the people I work with. And it's a good gig. So I'd like to keep that gig. So I want to, be effective there. And, but like on the side, I always do like to keep my creative juices flowing. I have projects that I like to work on the side. Like I've been learning about like NFTs and, like crypto a little bit, and then dabbling in, Etsy and creating weird products like a poop beanbag chair because why not?
Why not?
Yeah, you want to turn your storage into a pile of shit? You got it. I got you covered. Because it's fun, and actually some random person from Alabama bought one, and I was like, all right, like this is cool. So I don't know. So I've been doing stuff like that. I really want to and Teddy, you've like re-inspired me too, because this has been something I've been wanting to do, but it's been getting pulled off. I really want to bring my planner back. So I do have like a free like downloadable version of the day planner. But I want to bring like the full planner back and have it be a printable, as well as being able to work with GoodNotes, like be slurped into GoodNotes so that you can write on your iPad and take it with you everywhere. And so that's been on my mind, and I want to design it. And so redesign it. So that's kind of something I want to do next. It's been on my mind. Maybe write a book about the journey. Honestly, I keep going back and forth about it. I don't know if I'm going to be emotionally okay to do it. Because I'm like, dude, if the emotional junk that came up from a how-to book, what's going to happen with writing about IVF? But like, maybe write a book called Scrambled Eggs. I don't know. Like there's the problem with me is I have 1,001 ideas, and
What if you blog your way through it?
possibly. And I have a blog, so maybe I will either I gotta look if there is like a Scrambled Eggs domain, or if I should just tack it onto my current blog.
That is awesome. Oh
Do you
my
like it?
God.
It'll
Oh
make people
yeah.
click. They're gonna be like, "What the hell is scrambled eggs
Oh
on
my
this website?"
God.
Not what you're thinking, sir.
No.
You better do it quick before this airs.
Oh, I
because
know,
somebody's
right?
gonna grab it.
Googling Namecheap now. Scrambled eggs is probably already taken, but I could do like scrambled eggs book or blog or something like yeah, get that IG name or whatever.
Aaron's already on it. He's already looking it up for you.
You'll have
That's a
you'll
good
have the
call.
most cost-effective approach in your inbox by the end of this conversation.
Love it.
I wonder if there's like if you could do like a scrambled eggs. That would be fun.
Oh, that would be fun. That's what I did for, the thing I had, did I lose that? I don't know. I think I might have, because I didn't want to continue to pay for it, but I had, I got this idea for like like a logo, like for like women in tech, and it was going to be equal IT, and it was the equal sign and then IT. But then I wanted it to be like equal. I couldn't use the number sign, but so I wanted to be equal.it, but .it is Italy. And so like, it was actually like really expensive to get. And then I did nothing with it. But I don't know. I might eventually actually spun up that brand, but on Etsy, because it's cheaper and easier. And why not? I have the logo. So I don't know. See, random. I'm just
I love it though.
spouting out a bunch of random stuff.
It sounds fun to me.
Yay!
And,
Well,
you know,
fun.
Scrambled
Yeah.
eggs and me. Yeah.
Scrambled.
Scrambled eggs.me. They have that right down me.
I bet they have that. I don't think anybody's taken that one. I'd be
$6 a
shocked.
year.
Huh?
Right there. $6 a year for
Yes.
scrambled eggs. Or scrambledeggs.com is for sale for
For like
$30,000.
$30,000.
$30,000.
Dang it. That's too rich for my blood. That's not worth that.
I mean, scrambledeggs.net's going for 600. Maybe you could go for that.
Dang.
Make a network.
All right. Well, at least I know at least that tells me that the name I picked is valuable and effective, because it wouldn't be worth that much
True.
if it wasn't catchy.
Big market.
And you're
Big
just
market
gonna
for
need-
scrambled eggs.
you're going to need some epic visuals for that, just to, help people understand that we're not really talking about food here.
Well, I was thinking of hiring somebody. So I've already pictured this out. I have not done it yet, but like, I was like, oh, I should like you can hire food photographers. And so I was like, maybe I can hire a food photographer who can make scrambled eggs look like a uterus and ovaries and like in a skillet or something. So I don't know, but that could come out really bad. Like if they don't do it right, like what is this jumbled mess? I don't understand.
Okay,
So,
Fiverr's cheap.
yeah.
I bet someone does it on there.
So it could come out great and it could look like total crap, but we'll see. But that's my idea. I'll take feedback on that too. If you're like, no, that's not gonna come out right.
Well, the thing is, we find what we're looking for, and during this time to remember that fun is your value. It's your emotional need. And so if you're looking for it, even the crazy stuff that's fixing to happen, you will find a way to share that in a way that makes people laugh and enjoys your journey with you. And especially if you're able to look back and go, wow, I remember that day, and look at this, what came out of it, the great laugh that came out of that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of women that don't know how to have fun. That's not their value.
Yeah.
And especially during a time like that. I mean, I just see it being such an uplifting thing for a lot of women.
Because it will be a time for you to try and figure out how to have fun when you can't really have a lot of certain types of fun, right?
Well, exactly. Yeah, you got to get
Right.
creative. I
Yeah.
know that. So I mean, I haven't experienced yet, but I've heard things. So.
You really can't make this stuff up.
Mhm.
Here, this is your value and your vision in life, and you're being told to keep your heart rate down, like don't do anything fun.
And I like, how is that? What?
And yet we want you to get it done.
Mhm. Exactly.
I'm like,
So
and
I'm
you
like,
don't want me to be
this is-
depressed by the end of this process, right?
right. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many factors to consider. So yeah, juggling all of that. I know I went off on a random thing. I know your question is, what do you plan to do? It's like, well, I don't really know. Here's the 1,000 ideas I have. Sorry about that. But
No, I think it's
while keeping my heart rate down.
I think it's important because, there are a lot of, you remind me, like your fun value reminds me a little bit of one of the challenges. And I know you've hung out with me in a few of these messengers in the past, like our learners are the people who value knowledge. Like
Yeah.
they never get anything done because they're always on to the next thing. And the thing that they learned last week isn't valuable enough to share anymore. And it's
Mhm.
like, no, but the thing that you just learned now doesn't make sense without all these other things that you already learned, right? And so it's like one of those amazing superpowers that you just have to kind of figure out how to direct and then let it go crazy and then rein it back in. And
Lots of raining needs to happen sometimes. But yes, agreed.
So Jenée, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
being with us today and sharing your journey. And I can't wait to see all the crazy, random, fun, hilarious things that happen in your near and distant future. And yeah, is there any way that the people listening or watching can get a hold of you?
Yes. So I currently have a blog, maybe another one to come soon. I don't know. But the current one that's all set up already, you can go to havefungetitdone.com. And an easy, I just say that because my name is hard to spell. It's just easier to remember, probably that. Have fun, get it done. .com, and there is a contact link in there. And also if you want, I do have that freebie that I mentioned earlier for like it's like a free daily planner, just like the daily sheet, but it has been known to help double people's productivity, and it's free. So you can just enter in your email and that will be sent right to you on the website. And if you want to message me or anything, you can do that directly through the website, or even find me on Instagram at Hey Jenée. And that's spelled like Renee, but with a J, so Jenee. But either way, all the things, I don't know. Whatever's your fancy. You can DM me, I don't know. Whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
Well, I just have to say, Jenée, I totally enjoyed talking with you today, and all of the happy tears, all of the hysterical tears, and that I super appreciate you sharing about the journey that you're going through right now, and I admire your strength and grace through it. It's really incredible, and I wish you the best along it.
Thank you so much.
I hope it's less scrambled and more sunny side up.
I love that.
Is that in the book?
Yes.
He's working on your chapter titles right now. Talk about productive. This guy.
He's like, I already have
Uh,
all of your chapters outlined
good.
for you.
I got your bullet points, just dictate. Sorry.
You're on it, man. Like that is awesome. Oh, I love that. No, seriously. Wow. Like that was impressive. You just came up with that. Like it's just
Yes, I'm
amazing.
married a goofball in the creative process. Got another goofball.
I love it. I say it's genius. I love it. So I had so much fun meeting with all of you, and I really appreciate this conversation and just the questions, the thoughtful questions, and even just the things that you've shared with me, like that either made me cry a little bit, but in a good way, or made me laugh. Like I had a really fun time with all of you. So as expected, I love all of you. So thank you.
We love you too. And we can't wait until you're here maybe next year with your little one.
The little one, crossing fingers. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, knocking on all of the wood. I don't know. So, that would be awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, we'll do it again.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jenée, for
Yeah.
being who you are, for being part of our community, and for being part of this book. Like everyone who's read the chapter sends me a private message just in hysterics. Like, who is this chick and why haven't we met her?
Really?
You know, it's like,
Oh,
she needs to be part of our community. Can she be here again?
just fell off the map. I'll be back. Well, that's cool. That's good to
Yeah.
hear. Thanks.
Yeah, it's good. So thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, until next time.
Yes.
Okay.
See ya.